Okay, hello everyone. How are you doing today? We are live streaming. First things first, couple of brief announcements, I guess. Today I am working on a new computer. I've never streamed on this computer before, so I don't actually know if it's powerful enough to do a stream, so I'm just kind of testing it out today to see whether or not we can. I've got OBS running, Chrome running, Game Maker running. It's got 2 graphics cards in it, so it's a little bit like glitchy when it swaps between them. I'm still trying to sort all of that out, so please bear with me and let me know as we stream today if anything weird happens. Thanks, Sherm. So yeah, today I am doing a continuation on the save and load tutorial that I put out last week. I think it was the week before on Patreon, and it came out on YouTube last week. In this specific version, what I want to do is focus on getting rooms to be persistent. So say for instance you're playing a game and there's enemies in a room, you kill the enemies, you open the chests, you leave the room and you come back. Well, in Game Maker generally what happens is the entire room is recreated, and so the state of events that had happened is lost. So today that's what I want to do with this. And yeah, just for anyone who's watching this in the future as a YouTube archive, please jump onto the Patreon page, drop $1 or $2 in the hat. I don't really have that much time to put into videos, so I really want to make this a full-time thing one day eventually. So if you can help that happen, that would be awesome. So, answering some questions in the chat quickly. Who are you and what did you do with RMJK Dev? It's been a long time since you streamed. He was murdered and replaced with this sexy man. No, I'm kidding. I heard he was building schools in Africa. That's just my day job. No, I'm kidding. Also kidding. So let's get started. I want to create some sprites first. Nothing graphically fancy. I just want to get some images going. Something. We need a player. This is going to be our player. This, I tried to make a circle then and it just didn't happen, but that's gonna do. And we're gonna infringe on someone's copyright by doing the yellow smiley face there. Whoops. We'll call this SBR player for now. And let's pop into this room. Let's rename this RM underscore. Let's call this intro. Greetings, Tyler. We'll call this RM intro, and we'll put our player onto the objects layer. Oops, that's a sprite. What am I doing? We'll create an object. Call this obj underscore player. And let's give it the sprite that we're looking for, and then we'll put that into our room. Right, so now we have a player in a room that we can see. I'm going to change the background color just because black is just... let's go with a more classic... Actually, is there a... oh man, I wish I knew what color it was. I don't know what color it was. I'm just going to go with blue, desaturate it, lighten it up. Sorry, there we go. Old school XNA cornflower blue. Mikhail! Hello! So there we go. We've got this color going now. Let's quickly throw into our player some basic movement code. So I'm just going to drop a step event in here. And let's also increase the font size so you guys can actually see what's going on. We'll just call this deal with basic movement. Okay. Excuse me. So input X, I'm just going to do my old school standard, what do you call this? Keyboard check thing. Keyboard check VK underscore left. And I know we don't have to multiply it by -1, but just because I like to go left and then to right, we will multiply it by -1. And then we'll add the result of keyboard check VK right. And that will give us a -1 to 1 sort of boundary. I also want to increase the size of this window so we can see more text on the screen. Cool. Let's do the same thing for Y. Let's put that comedian's logo from, yeah, sure. It's still here, man. It's a virus of some kind that hasn't seemed to go away. So I'll be muting myself every now and then to cough my lungs out. Anyway, so input X, input Y. I was gonna say X plus equals input X, and Y plus equals input Y. Now, the moment of truth. I don't actually know if the graphics card is going to allow me to display this. Oops, made an error. To actually display this when I run the game, because OBS was having some issues this morning with switching between graphics cards. So let's just first of all see whether or not this works. Okay, and it does. Alright, so we have basic movement up and running. A little bit too slow. I'm just going to speed it up by multiplying it. Let's multiply it by 4. Make it 4 times faster. Should be a little bit more reasonable. And we will run that again. Hoorah! Yes, hoorah indeed. Right, there we go. Now we've got some basic movement. It's not pretty. I know, it's not smooth. It's not, you know, perfect. It just gets us moving around, which is all we needed to do for now. So then the next thing we need is a game state object. So let's create an object. Let's call this one game state, like we did in the last tutorial. And we'll make it persistent. We'll also make the player persistent as well. And our game state needs no sprite, needs no introduction. We'll just put it into the intro room anyway. And with regards to game state, we need to create... This time I'm going to do slots as well, because someone mentioned in the comments of the save video tutorial, how would I turn this into slots? So let's just call this init game state. So let's put a current save slot equals 0. And then let's also go and add an event so that when the player presses S... Actually, no, let's make this into... No, let's make this... Sorry, I'm changing my mind here. Let's make it so when the player presses the digit number 1, it's going to save into slot 1. Yeah, that's what we'll do. And we'll do... Where is it? Key... Sorry, I wanted to use key up. Key up digit 1. We'll get rid of this event here. We'll do a key up digit 2. These will be our save slots. Digit 2 and key up digit 3. There we go. Key up digit 3. So we'll have 3 save slots. And we'll create a user event for saving. So user event 0. This will be for save. Save the game. Studio Boo. Oh my god. And then we'll add a save slot. So this will be a load slot. So this will be load the game. Load the game. I'm going to be real controversial here, Studio, but anything is better than NBA 2K. I hate all of the NBA games. Just a dislike sport in general kind of person. Oh, controversial. The controversy. Right, anyway, so we need to have a... I can't even remember what we did. It was the stars. It was something on the map that we were picking up. And we had a score. So let's have a score as well. We'll say current score equals 0. Oops. Also, I'm typing on a new keyboard. Not a new keyboard, it's an old keyboard that I've had for a while, but... Pachinko. This isn't Konami, Studio Boo. No, I'm kidding. Current score equals 0, so now we have something to save. And we also need something to collect, so let's put the something to collect back in here. So there goes that curling game collaborate. Yeah. Street Luge, man. Street Luge game. Let's call this SPR pickup. You know, this will just be something for the character to pick up. Let's edit this and let's just put a, I don't know. Let's just put like something for the character to pick up, like that. And then it's just gonna have like, oh, red and green. This is, sorry. I should just use graphics from a graphics pack. I don't know. Let's just do that. Make it look like it's got some sort of magic energy in it. Pixel art at its finest right there. Let's go with this color. There we go. Oh, not that. And then we just get the white brush out, and then we just put some glossy bits on there. I don't know what this is. This is just some kind of... Alright, that is beautiful. It looks good up close, but I guarantee you when I zoom out, it'll look like crap. There we go. That'll do. So there's our pickups. This is our intro room, so let's create another room. Let's call this level 1. Yeah. And let's just throw down some of these guys. Actually, also, let's copy that background color in there because I can't remember what actual hex it was. So let's just go and put that background color into this room so that they match. There we go. And then let's create an object. We'll call this one obj_pickup, and we'll give it the sprite of the pickup. And it's not persistent because obviously it's not persistent. And we'll just put down a couple of these on the room. Like so. Oops. We'll just throw them down like this so that we have a few just scattered all over the place. Like that. Right, and the other thing we should do is we should make the room... game state actually could just draw on the screen, just so we know where we are, what the current room is. So we'll add a draw event, and this will just be to draw in the GUI, the GUI. Draw game stats. So we'll put something like room underscore... Is there a way to get the room name? Let's find out. Excuse me. Room... I think it's just room, isn't it? Yeah, it's room. And there should be a function called get... oh, God. Get asset? No. Get asset. Get object. It might be object get. Use alt left click to add multiples faster than dragging. Oh, that's a good tip. Object get name. There we go. Object get name room. So now we should have the name of the room returned to us as a string, I believe. Allow access. This returns a string. Wonderful. So we can just draw that to the screen. So we'll just say draw text. Draw text. Hang on. Draw text at 10, 10, and we're just going to draw that. And then we'll put a bracket in there. So now we should have a function now in the game state that draws us to the current room. When it's created, it also go to next. Hey, Top Ice 1, Level Max Jelly 2 Master Pro XXL. Welcome. It's been a while. It's a long weekend here, so I have time this weekend to actually sit down and do a live stream for you guys, so I thought I would. So it just rendered out the name game state. That doesn't seem like what it should be doing. Get name. What is the variable for the current room? Oh my god. Let's check the documentations, because I forget. Room. I swear it was just room. Flame Fiends. I'm just a lurker from the past, come to haunt the chat. Welcome. Welcome to the chat. Current room name. Room name? Is there such a thing? Nope. I cannot for the life of me remember how to get the room name. Let's just put the ID of the room up and see what that does. It's like this room or something like that. Alright, so, yeah, 1. Ah, it's because it's not object get name, is it? It's instance get name. Instance get. No, it's not. Get room. No, no function. And because it's not an object, that's why you can't do that. Ah, bloody hells. If it was an object, it would work because the first object in the room is game state, so that's why it doesn't work. Anyway, whatever, that doesn't matter. We'll just put the room in there like this. We'll just know what room it is. We'll just call this like room, and then we'll put like a that, the string of this. I don't think we even need to do that anymore because it auto casts by itself, but we'll do it just for the sake of consistency. Room get name. Zyker 0, I'm pretty sure I checked that, but it didn't. There was no such function. Room get. Oh, dude, you're right. You are right. There was such a function. I'm just an idiot. All right, there we go. Room get name. Now we should have the name of the room. That makes sense. Let's have a look and see if that worked. Level 1! Right, cool. So now we know that we're on level 1. Ignore the graphics. I know. They are shonky. Shonkier than shonky. So let's make our player pick up those pickups. So we'll just add a collision event with the pickup. And we'll just say pick up the pickup. There we go. Instance destroy. And we will destroy other. We'll just get rid of it, and then we'll game state dot current score plus equals 10 or something like that. You know, so we have a score counter going up now. Basically, just recreating the other tutorial. Now, when we save using these keys, let's just say save slot 1. Save slot 1. Oh my god, slave slot 1. That's terrible. Save slot 2, save slot 3. There we go. Right, now what I want to do with those is I just want to fire the event user 0. So we're just going to say that the current save slot equals 0. Right, and then we'll fire the event user, and that will be 0 because that is the save the game event. And we'll do the same thing for save slot 2, except this time we'll call this 1. And we'll do the same thing for save slot 3, and this time we'll call this 2. So depending on what button you press, it will do the thing. Now we also need to have a... Let's just put a... I don't know, a notification. Notification? Is that how you spell notification? Oh god, keyboard. Notification equals blank for now, because we just want to put up a message when someone presses this. Just say notification equals saved slot 1. Actually, no, we don't need to do that. We just need to say saved slot, and we'll say plus current save slot, and we'll just plus 1 on that because we've offset them because they start from 0. And just for human readability, we want them to be 1 to 3 rather than 0 to 2. So the notification is there, and then in our draw event, we will add another one of these. We will draw it 15 pixels further down, and this time we will call it notification. We'll put the notification text on there. And then after this, we'll fire an alarm, which will be alarm 0 equals, I don't know, 60. So it should be 1 second later. We'll put the alarm in here, and then we will set notification just to wipe out the notification. Wipe out the notification. We'll just say notification equals blank. And what that should do is that when we press the keys 1, 2, and 3, it should save into a slot 1, 2, or 3, pop up a notification for us on the screen that says, hey, this was saved into slot 1, this was saved into slot 2, or this was saved into slot 3. So let's just have a look and see if that is what happens. So if I press, if I press 1, we get an error. What is the error? Oh god, don't show this again. I hate that Windows bar. What have I done wrong here? Do add current slaves, current say. Oh my god, I can't say I can't say save. I keep saying slave. That's terrible. Do add execution error. Because it's trying to add a number to the string. Because I'm a noob. That needs to be string. Like that. Oops. There we go. Like that. And that should, in theory, allow us to press the keys 1, 2, and 3. Let's have a look. Still got an error when I press 1, 2, and 3. Oh, what if I push? No, not actually displaying anything. Displaying RM intro notification. Did I mess up the draw? I did. Room get name. Idiot. We just want to display the string on the screen. Alright, sorry about that. Let's run that one more time, and then we should see no text on the screen in the second slot. And then when I push 1, it should say save slot 1, and then a period of time later, it should disappear. Push 2, save slot 2, and then 3, save slot 3. Wonderful. Now, let's append to this string here. Let's just say plus space, comma, score, colon, and then we'll just put plus current score. That needs to be stringified, so string. Grab that in string parentheses. There we go. So now we should have current room, comma, score, and then the notification channel at the bottom. So we're kind of almost at that point where we were with that tutorial. Probably a little cleaner this time as well. So if we pick some of these up, we should get some score now. There we go. Basic score counter is incrementing as we pick these up. Movement code, a little bit too slow for my liking, just because I want to demo this to you guys quicker than the speed of light. So let's multiply that movement speed, make it a bit faster. But now we've got score incrementing, we can work on our save slots. So this will be the last thing that happens in our save system, by the way. So what we need to do is create a variable holder. I can't remember how we did this in the last one, but I think we used a map. So I'm just going to say save game equals ds map create. Map create. There we go. So now we have a map. And then I want to say ds map add, and the ID is going to be current score, and the value is going to be 0. That's right. That's what we did last time, and then we can get rid of this. And then we have our notification. So now we have our map with our current score in it. Let's take this over to our player. Let's say when we collide with this thing, we are going to do something like this. It will be ds map add, and it will be game. Actually, it's not add, is it? We need to find the current score. So first of all, let's oops, let's get rid of that. Let's say current score equals ds map, and I think it was find value. The ID is going to be game state dot what do I call it? State? No, what do I call it? I can't remember. It is save game. Dot save game. Save game, and the value is current score. There you go. So now we have the current score. We can go and put a ds map. I think it's replace ID key value. Let's replace the transition between them is a bit shitty, to be honest. I don't think many people are really feeling Studio 2, to be honest. And we'll put current score plus 10. So we'll add 10 to our score. There we go. Yeah, it's like basically starting from scratch, except you have some GML, you know, some current GML knowledge. And then we'll go and update our draw to put our score. Instead of that, it's going to be find out what the current score is. I need to make this bigger so I can actually see the text on the screen. Let's probably zoom out one spot as well. There we go. So current score equals find it from our save game. What is our current score? And then we will just display our current score onto There. So now we should have transitioned into using our DS map to store our game variables. Our variables. Oh, what have I done wrong? DS map add. Save game. There we go. Oops. There we are. You're planning on making more Unity tutorials anytime soon? Not anytime soon, but I am planning on doing more of them eventually. Excuse me. Alright, so this should be working now, this time using our list to store the values. So now we can pick up more of these guys. And now we have score incrementing. And then if we press 1, 2, or 3, it should save. So let's head back to our save slots. This function here specifically. Oh, and hello, random otaku. So we have the save slot now. So what we need to do is, there is a function for this. DS map serialize? No, C#. DS, that would be too logical. Secure save is the function. DS map secure save. There we go. So DS map secure save. The map is going to be save game. And the file name is going to be save data. And then we will add string current save slot, and then we will add a .dat for data. There we go. So now we have a function which will save the current game state, like so, into the thing. I don't know what I'm saying. Sorry. It should save the current game state into a file, and we're just going to check to make sure that it doesn't crash. So it doesn't crash when I press the 1 button. So I'm going to pick up some of these guys. I'm going to press 1. I'm going to pick up a few more. I'm going to press 2. And then I'm going to pick up a few more. And I'm going to press 3. So now we have 3 save slots in our game. Now we need a way to load them. Let's make this to check also if the key is pressed like, I don't know, shift. And then if shift is pressed, we will fire event 1. So we'll just say if keyboard check, and we'll just do VK underscore shift. There we go. So if the shift button is pressed, then we're going to do a different function. Else, we're going to do the regular function. I know it's not super elegant. You could put like a save point in your game. So this is going to be load. So load. And this is going to be save. There we go. So let's replace that in these. Right, so basically, if you press number 1 and the shift key is pressed at the same time, it's going to save. Sorry, it's not pressed, it's going to save. If you press it again, it's going to load. And we just need to write this function in here just to say loaded slot. There we go, loaded slot. So now we have a notification to tell us that we've loaded a game slot. So if I press shift and 1, it should load the slot instead of saving. So let's just check that that happens. So I'm holding down shift and I'm pressing 1 and it says loaded slot 1. I'm not pressing shift and I press 1, it says save slot 1. Okay, cool. So now we have basic functions triggering these 2 events. We can use the DS map secure load again. We'll do the same thing over here, except this time we'll do the secure load. So DS map underscore secure load. And the file name is just going to be save data. It's going to be the same as our existing one, except this time it's save data slot. And then we'll say save game equals the result of that loading function. So now we have saving and loading basically completed. If we run this again, I'm sorry for the compilation time. I might see if I can find a way to shrink that down. If there's any options to disable or enable, like texture packing and that sort of stuff. But it's just because this new computer is not as fast as the old one. It's laptop, so if I press shift 1, loaded slot 1. Press shift 2, loaded slot 2. You'll see the score is 60. Shift 3, the score is 90. So let's pick up. Let's continue our save game and pick up a bunch of these, and then we'll save that into slot 1. We'll close the game. We'll restart the game. Then we'll load slot 1, and we should see that our score remains the same. And if that is the case, let's have a look first of all. So press Shift 1, and you'll see our score is currently 150. Wonderful. So, how useful are DS maps, and how can you use them? Are they good for storing small pieces of information in the game? Zyker Zero, yes, they are kind of amazing. They remind me a little bit of JSON in JavaScript. They're really good for just dropping bits of information into, and then using these functions like secure load and secure save to just quickly dump them out into a file so that you can create a saving and loading game really quick. And it also works cross-platform, so it doesn't matter if you're using iPhone or you've got your game on Steam or you put it somewhere else. It'll work for you. So now the next thing I want to do is this idea of actually loading the state of these objects in the game. Now, each of these instances in the room has its own instance ID. And you see, if you have a look at the instance layer properties, regardless of which one of these I select. Actually, someone said I could use... Oh man, yeah, you're right, that is faster. Just use Alt-click. Oh wow, that's faster. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting off topic, but you'll see that each of these instances of the pickup object has its own little instance ID, INST underscore, and it has like a unique label next to it. We're actually going to store that in our... Actually, are we going to do that? That's kind of complicated. No, it's not that complicated, is it? I'm just thinking to myself, sorry. We're going to store that, I think, in the text file. How are we going to do this? I'm thinking out loud, sorry. When we load the slot, we tell each of them to check whether or not it exists. Yeah, okay, cool. I've got an idea. So we're going to save each of these into that file with a true or, well, basically if it's in the file, it exists. So if it's not in the file, it doesn't exist, and therefore it should kind of self-destruct when we load our game to get rid of them. So in our game state object, when we save the game, which is our user event 0, before we save the game, I want to go through each of those object pickups. So I'm going to say with, is it with that you do this with object pickup? There we go. With object pickup, so we just give it the name like this. We are going to say show debug message, and we're just going to say instance ID. I think it's instance ID. Let me have a look at the level again. It might be instance ID. Well, we're going to find out anyway. So if I run the game and I save a slot, we should see a bunch of IDs pop up in the output console window at the bottom of my screen here. So I'm just going to do that now. So here we go. If I press 1, we get a whole bunch of -4s. So that is the incorrect function. We need the... It's not instance ID. It might be instance... Is there an instance get? Instance underscore get. No, there isn't. What other instance variables do we have? Instance get? Instance... I would have thought it would have been instance ID. It's just ID. Ah, okay, cool. Thanks, top ice 1 level max jelly 2. So you're probably right. Oops. It should just be ID. There we go. Hey Nico. That's all good. Once the video's uploaded, you can watch it from the beginning, and it should make more sense. There we go. So top 1 level max jelly ice master pro 2 XXL has given us the correct code here to have these numbers. So each one of these represents an individual pickup in our game, an individual one. So now that we have each of them, this kind of is acting like a for each. So it's kind of like for each object pickup, do something. And the thing that we're going to do is DS map. We're going to add a key. We're going to add to our save game first of all. The key is going to be ID, and the value is going to be true, just to tell us that it exists. Right, so now in our save game, we'll call this serialize the state of pickups. So for each pickup, we're going to add the ID to the save game and tell us whether or not it exists. And then when we load the game, this is going to be kind of the reverse effect of that. We're going to tell each pickup once the game has been loaded, we tell each one to check, does it exist? We're going to do it in reverse. We're going to say DS map. What am I doing? Sorry. We're going to do the whole find value thing. There we go. All right, so we're going to do the load the game. So we'll say with object pickup. This time we're going to say DS map find value, and it will be game state.save game, and we're looking for the ID of the object. And then we're going to say I know this is supposed to be all connected, but I'm not familiar with this type of coding. All I see is colorful words. Oh, that's all good, man. It makes sense after a little while. I'll have to make it. I'll take one. Thank you. So we're going to go through and look for each of the IDs in the save file to see whether or not it exists. We're just going to say exists equals that, because if it does exist, it's going to return a Boolean value, which is true. So then we can simply say if not exists. So if that value was false, instance destroy. We don't want you on the map anymore. So let's run our game again. Now, obviously, our first batch of save games will no longer make sense because they don't exist. The values don't exist, so all the objects would be destroyed. So we need to update our save games. But let's pick up a couple of these. There we go. Picked up a bunch. Now let's save the game, and we get an error. What is the error? The object, the thing is not set before reading it. Object pickup.save game. So let's have a look at what that error is. That was in our save function, save the game. Because we're in the context of an object pickup here. Thanks, Random Otaku. Because we are in the context of a pickup object, the save game variable doesn't exist. So we need to tell it specifically where it is, and it is in the game state object. Game state.save game. And I think I already did the same thing over here, yeah. So that should work. So now let's try and save that again. I'm just going to run this, and we'll pick up a couple of objects. There we go. Pick up a couple of these guys, and then I'm just going to save the game. Saved into slot 1. Now, moment of truth. Let's close the game. Let's run the game again. Okay, now that the game is running again, let's try loading our save slot 1. And every item in the game is destroyed! Damn it, it didn't work. Let's find out what went wrong. Oh my god. Alright, so we saved... First of all, we saved the ID into the save file, so that is correct. That's adding the value into the game, into the map. Then we load the save game into our variable, and then we go through each object pickup. I have a feeling I know why, but it's okay. We'll check that in a minute. Then the exists value is equal to the DS map find. So let's put a few breakpoints on these lines here specifically, and we'll run the game in debug mode. That'll give us access. Zyka 0, it should only destroy itself because we're in the context of an instance destroy. So let's run the debugger. So we've got the debugger running. Now let's do a shift 1, which should force a load, and then our debugger, you'll see, has triggered us on these lines here. So now we can actually see what the values are. So right now, exists, the value of exists, how do we actually do this in Game Maker? Can you hover over these? Studio 2 is a pain in the ass. Before the code not exists, add with ID. Top one, top ice one, level max, jelly 2, master pro, double XL. It should be a true or false, not an ID, because we're looking up the ID to get this value. So anyway, let me step over that, and then we should have exists. So exists is currently undefined because it seems like the value didn't come out of that save game object. So what is other dot save game is 1? Is there a view as a DS map? Here we go, view as DS map, and then we can expand that. So you'll see the IDs are now in here. You can see all the data that's been saved in our DS map. The ID of this object is 21. So there should be one in here that's got 21. It's there. 21 equals 1. So it should be there. So exists equals DS map find value. And it should have plucked that out, but it didn't. It gave us undefined instead. And I'm guessing because of the undefined, it goes through here and it goes instance destroyed. Then it loops over again. Exists this time is still undefined. Just test it out to see if it works. Before the code not exists, add with ID. Can you write it out into the comment section? Because I don't understand exactly what you want me to add. Sorry. I will try it out for you, but just write out the line of code and I'll put it in. I think I can see what the bug is, but I can't see why it's happening. So the variables are coming out of this are all undefined. DS map find value save game. That has picked up the save game file. I can see it here. Ah, it might be. No, see the ID should be matching. Let's just try stringify that. Make sure it's a string so that it knows we're looking for a string and not a number. I don't actually know if that's going to do anything different, but we'll see. Running it with the debugger again, by the way. Okay. With ID if not exists. Ah, I see what you mean. Gotcha. Alright, let me just finish debugging this step here. Ah, yeah, I fixed it anyway. It's got it. That one exists. Alright, so let me turn off these breakpoints. I fixed it anyway with this. Alright, there we go. So I loaded the game and those 3 ones disappeared. So what you wanted to see was, I see what you want to do there. You want to loop through each of them and see whether or not the ID exists. I'll do it just because I can show you something quickly. Just before the add ID with ID if not exists. Okay, so with ID like that. That's what you mean. Now this, I don't think this is going to work, and I'll tell you why in a moment. Let me just run this. Actually, let me stop that and turn this back to the way it was, and then we'll go over why the changes work. Okay, so sorry for the build time, guys. If this, when I go back to doing pre-recorded tutorials and uploading them weekly, I'll edit out the build times in the videos, so you don't have to wait so long. So if I try and load this, it's still going to delete all of them. I'll tell you why. What's happening is when we look up the DS map. Well, actually, first of all, when we save the DS map, if I go back to our workspace and look at our save code, we're saving the ID into a file, and I'm assuming this might be a bug with GameMaker. There's plenty of them, but basically what's happening here is the integer is being cast into a string because this ID value is currently a number. And when you save the file, it goes into a file, obviously, and I think in the add function, it automatically casts the number parameter into a string. But in the load function, we're looking for a number, and in our debugger, you could actually see, well, you can't see anymore because I'm not running the game, but you could see that the saved ID was actually saved as a string rather than a number specifically. So it had the quotation markers around it, these things, those things. Meaning, if we tried to do a comparator, like, does this equal that, and we looked it up in the file, well, the integer isn't going to match the string. So we need to explicitly cast this into a string ourselves in order to be able to compare whether or not there was a record that existed in the file. Let me just shift tab these back so you can see this working. So now, with the code modified like this, we can simply say, for each of the pickup objects, look up to the save game. Does this string exist? Like, do we have a value stored under this string? And if we do, pluck out that value and stick it in this exists variable. Now, the value is going to be true. It's only ever going to be true because we're not storing whether or not an object doesn't exist, because that's false. If it doesn't exist, it simply doesn't exist, and therefore it's false by default. So we're only storing the objects that actually do exist, or the state of those objects. And so when we pluck the value out of the DS map, this is going to return us a true if the object exists, because the variable that we stored was a true or a 1. And if the object doesn't exist, it's going to return us a false by default, so we don't need to store them if they don't exist. Then we can simply say if the object doesn't exist, i.e. if exists equals false, to make it more readable. If exists equals false is the same as just saying if not exists. I'll get into why that works in a moment, just as a random off-topic lesson. But if the variable is false, then we're going to destroy the object. Then we're going to move down, we're going to move down, and we're going to repeat, because this acts as a for each, so it's kind of like for each object pickup. Then it goes back through this code again, back through this code again, back through this code again, deleting any of the objects that it can't find. So if we run the game now, and I do a load, first of all, let's create 3 save files by simply walking around and picking up some coins, or some whatever they are, slime balls. So this is going to be save file 1. Then let's do a save file 2. And then we'll pick up some more, and we'll do a save file 3. Now there is one bug with this, and I'll get into that in a moment, but let's close the game and restart. And then we'll load save file 1. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna shift 1 to load save slot 1. You'll see those items disappeared, and our score went to 40. If I load save slot 2, our score is increased, and the items didn't disappear, and 3, they didn't disappear. And I think the reason for that is because the game needs to be restarted between loads, which is fine temporarily, I guess. You could just simply do like a game restart, a reset room before you load everything. Actually, that's kind of weird. It's not loading all of them. Why is that happening? That might be a different bug, actually. Let me try and load a room 3, shift 3. Obviously, you can tell I didn't plan this, right? It might be the save slot. No, the save slot should be working because the variables are coming through. Let's just try pick up a bunch of items and save it into slot 3, then close the game, and we'll load slot 3 specifically. So we'll pick up these ones here around the player, and we'll save that into slot 3. And we'll close the game, and we'll run the game. I think the issue is that when I saved it, I saved them in sequence. So I saved them in slot 1, in slot 2, and in slot 3 as I was running the game. I didn't restart it between saves. Because now if I load save slot 3, you'll see it worked fine. Yeah. So that is a different issue. That's because as we remove the objects from the world, I think the IDs are shuffling around. And so the indexes get thrown out. But that's okay. Temporary issue, I think. So let's pick up some more, and we'll save our game again. We'll pretend like we're continuing the game. So I save that into slot 3. Close the game, run it again. And we will load our save slot. And we'll see what happens. Alright, let's go. Shift 3. Yeah, right. It's because the IDs have all been messed up between saves. Bugs in Game Maker. Hate them. Well, anyway, I think you guys kind of get the idea of what we're going for here and how it works. Basically, we're saving the state of the objects into the file, and then when we press the shift key, we're loading them back. We may need to create our own, because I'm sort of hinging onto the object IDs using this ID function. It would be probably more stable if we were using this inst underscore variable to get the room. Actually, can you even do that? I don't know if you can do that. Let me pull up a tab in Chrome and just have a quick look. Oops. Put that one over here. I'm just gonna have a look and see if we can do that. Game Maker object room ID. Instance find. Just wanna have a look and see if there's anything to get the inst underscore. Inst underscore. Instance number. Actually, I wonder what. Let me just search the documentation quickly as well. I want to find the inst underscore. I see nothing. Let's try in here. Inst underscore. Here we go. No, that's not it. See, I don't know what that variable is called. basically what I'm trying to do is pull out this inst underscore room instance code. Specifically, if we use that as our save variable, it'd probably be a billion times more stable. There's probably a function for it. Instance exists? No, instance ID get. What does that function do? Instance ID get. The instance ID value. The index within the instance list from 0 to... That's the index. With this function, you can get the unique ID value of any instance from the currently active instance list. You give the index in instance... Sorry, you give the index in the instance list to get the ID from the function will return... Or returner, spelling mistake, the value for storing in a variable. That sounds more like what we need. Let's try that. Let's try instance get ID, and then we'll put the ID here, and we'll show debug message this. Show debug message. I just want to play around and see what we can get this doing, basically. So this is our save game. Let's run that. We'll just save a game, and we'll see what variables we get out, because I think doing the comparator based on that variable might make more sense. There we go, so let's save. Nah, see, that doesn't work either. I don't know how you get that value out. Instance. What even is that called? It should just be ID. I swear it's ID, but it's not, because we did ID. Alright, let's have a look. What other instance functions do we have? What if I put instance ID instead of instance get? Let's try that. Instance ID. Let's try that. Because there's two different ways to look up stuff in Game Maker, always. Alright, let's try that. Nope, still getting -4s. So it's probably not that. I wonder if it's object. It might be object. Object get name. Object index. Might be that. Let's check, see what that is. Now I'm by the way, I think the kind of core tutorial is over. I'm just trying to figure out extra stuff. What are we gonna get if I save that? We get 2. Come on, Game Maker, give me something. Object. No, I can't find it. I don't know what it is. You can get the object name, whether it exists. What about, let's Google it again. Let's pull up Chrome. Game Maker. Instance ID string. See if we can find that string. Object get name. Object index. No, that's not it. That's not it. Room unique instance ID. Let's have a look and see what other people are saying. Hey Sherm, welcome back. Not much, man. Just running into a wall and trying to find out how to get around that wall. You can save instance ID as your own variable, that way you can reference it throughout making changes. The array holds all of the IDs of every active instance in the game. Ah, I see. It gives you a way to reference them. Every instance will automatically have its own unique ID. Yes. But that doesn't actually tell us if that ID is the room instance ID or the room ID. Game Maker room instance ID. Let's have a look. Specific instance ID. Here we go. That might be it. Instance create. Nope. Nope. Not that one. Alright. I don't know. I really don't know. Instance position. that's not it. Well, anyway, the other way we could go around this, just a thought, is that you could probably create a unique string in the create event and then do a comparison between the unique string, look that up, try and find the object ID, use the same seeded random so that it's always it always matches for each runtime. Do something like that. I would have thought that ID would have worked anyway. Pretty much it pretty much does though, so that's not. Yeah, I'm trying to get the I'm trying to get the ID from the room editor instance list. That's the one. Do you know how to get it, Chum? I'll show you this one. This one here, the INST, because that's guaranteed to be the same for each run through. Whereas the object ID, I think it has the ability to sort of fluctuate and change a little bit each time. I'm just gonna wait and see if Sherm knows. I had a look though, I can't seem to, can't be done, you don't think? Okay, no worries. So that's not possible then. Well, it might be possible, I just don't know if it is. That's for the room. Yeah, I thought so. Alright, that's all good. Well, anyway, it does function, so we can pick these up. Let's save into slot 1. If I save into slot 1, let's close our game, run our game again. And then if we load, we need to load slot 1. Let's shift 1. There you go. So we can load our slot 1 and our score comes back. I think the issue is that when we save the game, we need to actually get rid of all of the existing variables. This exists. When we save the game, we need to clear that out. No, actually, I think I know what it is. I think I know what the issue is. We need to... Oh my god. We basically need to create a new save game map. We need to read out the score using this function. Here we go. I think I've got it. Let's load the score. Then let's create a new save game. DS... I think this will fix it. DS map create. There we go. And then let's put the save back in there. So let's save that. Let's DS map add. This is not too clean, but we don't need that in here. Let's put save game. And then we'll put current score. And then we'll put the current score in the current score. And then we'll save the file. Because I think what's happening is the save game has been built up to know what should exist and what shouldn't exist. And that way we wipe it out before we save it, so that all of the variables are reset. That way nothing can exist that doesn't exist. I think that is the fix. So we'll pick up these 3. Let's save our game into slot 1, close our game, run our game again. We'll load slot 1, we'll pick up a few more objects, and then we'll save our game and load it again and see if it works. Which I think fixes the problem. Shift 1, that loads the game. Let's pick up a few more objects. There we go. Now let's save the game by pressing 1. Saved into slot 1. Close the game. Run the game again. And I think we've come to the solution. I hope. If not, I give up. Let's run it. Alright, shift 1. And they all went away! Alright, we fixed it! That's what it was. It was persistence in the save file. Basically, when we saved the file the first time, we stored the variable that all of the objects existed. And we saved the file again. Even though we'd picked those objects up, they were still in the save file saying that they existed. So when we loaded the file, the score would update, but the objects wouldn't delete. So now we can load slot 2. We can pick up a couple of items. We can save slot 2. We can load slot 2 again. They'll be gone. Let's pick up... Actually, no. Let's close the game and run it again. And then let's load slot 2 again. And it should update completely. Load slot 2. There we go. It's loaded. Alright. I'm happy with that. I hope that made sense. We got there in the end, so pretty happy with all of that. Pardon the graphics. They are programmer art made quickly for a stream, I guess. If you're enjoying this video, there will be an archive of it. It will go onto Patreon first, along with the project files as always. So if you want to watch this stream, it will be there probably for the next week, and then this will be on YouTube the week after that. The project files for all my videos are always available for download for any level of Patreon. So if you do want to help support the channel, please jump on there and drop $1 or $2 in the hat. It will really help. We can kind of transition hopefully one day into getting these coming out more frequently, more of the time. I'm hoping to make it a full-time thing one day, so I can't do that obviously if we don't have any support to get there. So that's kind of my end goal with all of this, I think. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. I enjoyed this stream. Thank you for being here, and I'll catch you guys next time. Take care, everyone.